So this is super worth having a conversation about. And I've had this conversation at least once this week, but I've had it pretty frequently. And it's the difference between inventory and new listings. And the challenge is that like a lot of agents don't even know the difference. And I'm not saying, hey, they're dumb or bad or anything like that. It's just sometimes we don't sit there and think about the difference. They actually know the difference, but whether or not they explain it well or sometimes can conflate a headline. But certainly consumers, we need to be aware of this too. So this is something that I talk with my real estate agents on Teams or anybody I'm interacting with about, hey, there's a difference between inventory and new listings. So inventory, the easy way to think about it is at the end of the shift, what's left on the shelf. So let's say we have a grocery store, right? And you have canned food or peas or whatever, I don't know. But you have peas there. Well, let's say this morning they came onto the shelf. And by the time the end of the day rolls around, they are gone. At the end of the day, someone comes and does inventory. They go, how much is left on the shelf? That's inventory. So when you're thinking about real estate, it's how many houses that were listed 30 days ago or more still are available on the market, have not sold yet, have not gone pending. How many are there? That's inventory. The difference between that and new listings is in that same example, the peas are there on the shelf. They're put on the shelf. We put 50 on the shelf this morning. And by the end, when we were ready to count inventory, there was 0 left. Well, there's no inventory, but that doesn't mean we didn't sell peas. So a lot of times people are conflating the two. They think, well, inventory is really low, so nobody's buying or selling houses. That's not actually true. Now, that might be true, but that doesn't necessarily make the second part of that statement true, right? So when I talk about, hey, inventory is low, well, inventory was really low during 2020 and 2021. We all know that, historically low in inventory, but there's also a lot of homes sold. 6.5 is the number that I've heard thrown around, 6.5 million sales, right? So here's what was happening. People were so hungry in the example. People loved peas so much, canned peas so much, that as soon as they went on the shelf, they bought them. So lots of new listings with very little inventory. So I like to just separate those two out to help people understand that there can be a scenario where there's no inventory, which tends to have an upward pressure on pricing, while also still having high transaction volume. They don't necessarily have to go hand in hand. It doesn't mean like, hey, no inventory means no listings. No, you could have a lot of listings without a lot of inventory. Now, just a quick update, we're seeing that inventory is on the rise at really healthy levels, what I think is a healthy level, right? And so I think it was something like last week, it was like they looked at it and the number was 16,000, just under 17,000 and for inventory. I think it's actually a really good thing because houses flying off the shelf right away with 0 inventory, that puts what I think might even be like a dangerous level of upward pressure on pricing, which is pretty cool if you like own a home and you're planning on cashing in on it. But what about the home you're going to buy after that? Is it in a market where you're also experiencing that low inventory? Right. So in either case, I just wanted to kind of break those two things out and say there is a difference between inventory and new listings. We should watch both as real estate professionals. We should be watching both, but we should also be able to separate the two and explain to our clients the difference between new listing data and inventory. And it's oftentimes confused. So I figured I'd give those little examples. It's a way that I understand it better. It's a way I've helped other agents understand it better. So hopefully you got some value out of that and provided even a little bit of clarity. And if you have a better example of how to explain this stuff and what that actually means, I'd love to hear it. I'm always here to learn too. Drop that in the comments. Till next time, happy selling.